Hey guys, my name is Aja. Welcome back to my channel, and today I will be talking about Disney Channel. Why am I going to talk about Disney Channel? Because Disney Channel's going through a rut. Let's just say a rut. They're really like crashing and burning right now. They are closing a lot of. I have my notes right here. I'm so sorry. They have like a lot of Disney channels around the world just shutting down, and it's kind of weird just to think about, there not being a Disney Channel anymore. And I don't know, personally, I think it's because Disney Plus is a thing now, and I think they're just trying to put more emphasis more into Disney Plus by shutting down a bunch of Disney channels so everyone can have a reason to buy Disney Plus. But it's very weird because when you think about it, wasn't Disney Channel like a part of like basic cable? Like, I don't know. It's like weird, isn't it? So I just kind of wanted to talk about it today. Like, how did they exactly like fall? Like, how did they just go from being up here to being down here? Like, I just want to talk about that today. So first, I'm kind of breaking this down by certain eras, so to speak. So here, I'm going to talk about the early 2000s. This is when Disney Channel was really popping off. Like, Disney Channel was a thing before the early 2000s, obviously, but like, when you think about people my age, I'm 20, like, the most we can really go back to when Disney Channel shows were really kind of starting to pop was early 2000s. So when you had shows like Lizzie McGuire, Proud Family, Kim Possible, Even Stevens, That's a Raven, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, like, those are like really like shows where you're like, those are like the really early 2000s. And that's kind of what made Disney Channel at the time. Like, they were very popular shows. They aired on Fridays or like Sundays. Like, they have strict schedules, consistent strict schedules of when these shows were gonna air every single week. And at a certain time, 8/7 Central, when we were all trying to figure out what the fuck Central was, we were confused. These shows, if you think about it, are mostly centered around older kids. So like late middle school, early into early high school, trying to get later on into high school kids. Because like Lizzie McGuire was placed in the middle school, but like That's So Raven, it was centered originally in middle school, and then they eventually made their way to high school. So that's what I'm saying. Like Proud Family, she was already in high school. Kim Possible, she was already in high school. Even Stevens, the sister was in high school, but I think the little brother was in middle school. Like, these were centered around kids who were like in late middle school age, like 13, 14, and then they went on to high school in later seasons. So like, we're getting into the 15, 16 category. But I'm pointing this out for a reason. It's a very important reason when later on. So they go through, it's mostly centered around late middle school, high school kids who went through life lessons, tackling a lot of real life issues, like actual issues that people choose at the time did not really choose to really think about. Like on That's So Raven, they talked about discrimination when the lady went to hire Raven to work at her store. She said she wasn't going to hire black people. Like, they actually talked about things like that on Disney Channel. It was a lot of diversity on Disney Channel at the time. Like Proud Family, that's a mostly all black cast that they had on there. They were showing a black family, showcasing a black family. That's a Raven too, a mostly black cast centered around a black family, mostly black, like, they were emphasizing like, this is what we're bringing to. And it was very revolutionary at the time for Disney Channel. I know they had the Jet Jackson TV show from the movie, which I believe was mostly black, but I've never seen it, so I can't talk about it. But they had black cast and they gave a lot of diversity at the time, more diversity than what there is today, kind of, or at least later on. And so, but it was definitely something that Disney didn't really have a lot in their movies. Like when you go look at their movies based around in the same time period, or around the same time period, it's not a lot of diversity in their movies until a little bit later in the 2000s. I will say when they got Raven as a star, that's when like it popped off. Like she was in every single Disney Channel movie, every single Disney Channel show, and because she was in it, that means they had to hire more people of color to be in it. Like Raven changed the game for a lot of people. And she's still on Disney Channel till this day. She's in her 30s. She's been on this channel for like at least 20 something years. She changed the game for... I should make a video on that. How did... Like, she changed the game. Okay. All of these TV shows kind of had something older kids could really gravitate towards, kind of relate to a lot. So like a lot of teenagers could watch these shows and be like, yeah, I kind of go through that or something like that. And it had a lot of stuff that younger kids, so early middle school and maybe even kids in elementary school too, they can actually gravitate towards it too. It was something for all ages, really truly, like all ages would watch it and could relate to it. Well, not all, maybe they couldn't all relate to it, but they all enjoyed it. And this was something like early 2000s was a very precious time for Disney Channel. Like it was something that really set the stage up for this next era, the late 2000s. And this era really showcased a lot of shows, like especially for me. This is kind of where we get into the whole old Disney, new Disney debate. This is classified as old Disney, this era, late 2000s. This was what I really, really grew up with. Like, I did grow up with That's So Raven and Lizzie McGuire and Proud Family. Like, I was alive for it. And I did watch it when it was still on air. But like these shows right here are very staple into like the person who I am today. I'm not gonna lie. Like, so shows like the Corey in the House, Phineas and Ferb, Icon, Wizards of Waverly Place, Sunny with a Chance, Sweet Life on Deck. They had the Jonas Brothers show, and of course Hannah Montana. Like, those were staple shows. But, like, this era of Disney Channel really kind of changed the game. It kind of made Disney Channel, like, the it girl. Like, that's what kids watched. When you were growing up, all kids were watching Disney Channel. It wasn't like, oh, maybe they're watching Disney Channel and also this channel and this channel. I mean, they were really watching Disney Channel. You can add Nickelodeon to the game with this. Like, you can be like, they're watching Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. But they were for sure watching Disney Channel at this time. Like, the game changed here with Disney Channel. They had they had you on Friday nights. They had you on Sunday nights. They had you with a lot of the little commercial things like Pass the Plate, TMI. They had you with the Disney Channel games. They had you with the music videos that they played in the middle of commercials from the actual Disney Channel stars. This is when they really started ripping it with the new one, when they were getting the Disney Channel stars to sign on to their record label and become record producing artists, like Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato. Like, they were really changed. Like, they really had How many times did you see the Falling Down music video in the commercials? How many times did you see the Naturally music video in the commercials? How many times did you see Start All Over in the commercials? How many times did you see Seven Things in the commercials? How many times, I'm going to say one more time, say this one. How many times did you see Send It On in a commercial? Listen, they had Friends for Change. They were trying to make, reduce, reuse, recycle. Come on. Like, they had it all. They had it snatched by the wig. Like, they had everything on that channel to make us entertain at every possible second. Like, you didn't even want to leave. Like, if you were sitting down and you had to go to the bathroom during the commercial and you didn't even want to leave during the commercial because you were like, I want to see the Naturally music video and see them Sing It On and see whatever they're doing for this whole next weekend of shows. I want to see the preview for the next show, the next episode for my favorite show. Like, they had you by the wig, okay? Like, they weren't letting go at all. Oh my god, especially with Hannah Montana. They made Miley go on tour. They had the 3D concert. They have merch. They had toys. They had games, video games, online games. They had clothing. All in every single store. She put the work in. Miss Miley did. Yeah, she put the work in for Hannah Montana. Like, I wanted to be Hannah Montana. Like, I'm just saying, like, Wizards of Waverly Place was really successful too. Everyone wanted to be Alex Russo. Clothing lines, games, merch. They had it everywhere. And then she became a record performing artist. Oh, they wanted Selena Gomez everywhere. I'm trying to tell you. Oh my god, they got Demi on there after Camp Rock. Oh my, this was also a very good time for Disney Channel original movies at the time, DComs. This was a very good time for them. They had lots of them. I didn't write them down, but I can just try to think of some off the top of my head. Princess Protection Program, Camp Rock. They still had High School Musical going on, like High School Musical 2 and 3. They had, oh my god, they had so many. I can't even, like, they had so many. Those like the top I can think of right now. Phineas and Ferb too. They really brought back the cartoons because there was a lot of just live action TV shows at the time. They brought back Phineas and Ferb with the cartoons, with having the music part in every single episode. Like, they were really changing the game. Music was a big part of Disney Channel at this time. That's why I'm saying this specific era is really big, because it is also associated with music. Early 2000s, they did do a little bit of singing and dancing, but they didn't really it wasn't really that much then. Now, it's everything. It's like a foundation, almost, the music. It's a foundation to music. Something that they don't have today. I'm gonna get to that. But, like, this whole music thing that they had rolling on, they had a lot of their artists signed on to the record labels, becoming record performing artists. Like, every single show had almost every single show had some type of musical aspect to it. Like, they hit it big with this era. And then, off of this era as well, these shows were mostly centered around high school kids. When I say Hannah Montana, Wizard of Waverly Place, Sunny with a Chance, those kids, I know Hannah Montana started in middle school, don't get me wrong. I already know that if you see my Hannah Montana video. But most of the time, on these shows, the characters, I won't say kids, the characters were in high school. They were going to go get their driver's license. They were possibly going to go graduate high school to go on to the next chapter in their lives. It was centered around older shows, and kids like me who were about like 8 or 9, 10 maybe, watching these shows. I was intrigued by watching a show about someone who was older than me and going like, I'm gonna go through that when I get to their age. I know now that how to handle the problem or issue of whatever life lesson they just taught me in this episode when I get there. I was intrigued. I'm sure some kids older than me, like who were also in high school at the time, were watching it and intrigued. I'm trying to tell you, Disney did. I mean, I don't care if Disney had a target age demographic. They had everyone, and they still had the family aspect of the whole like you could watch any of these shows with your family and like it would be really good. Like they had everyone buy the wig in this era. I'm trying to tell you. And then something that they also like did from this era was try to stem Disney XD from it. I can make a whole video on Disney XD if you want me to. If you want me to make a video on Disney XD, let me know in the comments, because that's a topic we should discuss, actually. But, like, they had you by the wig. They had you by the wig in this era. And that's why a lot of people treasure it a lot. Because, like, I really do think it's just, like, a big part. The music is a big part of it. A lot of people like music. So, if you want to get me, you have to have music in it. And it worked. And that's why it's really treasurable. Is that a word that I just said? Treasurable and nostalgic for me, because like it had me by the wig, and it still does this era. But let's move on to the next era, early 2010s. So with Hannah Montana ending soon, was Waverly Place ending soon, Sunny with a Chance was canceled by now, I think. They had to come up with a new batch of shows, right, to keep the ball rolling. So they had Good Luck Charlie, Shake It Up, Austin Alley, Ant Farm, Jessie. They had shows like that to keep. They were still good shows. Like, some of these were still very good shows. I still watched them. It just, when you think about it, when you really think about it, they're not, like, as treasurable or nostalgic for people as Hannah Montana was Waverly Place, Sunny with a Chance. Like, when you really think about it, like that. Some of these shows really stepped away from the big musicals aspect. Like, Good Luck Charlie didn't really have a musical aspect to it. Ant Farm kind of had a musical aspect, but it really didn't. Jessie kind of had some in a few episodes, but it really didn't. Like Shake It Up, it had it because they were dancing, but like it wasn't like it wasn't like a big part, a staple of the show. Like, they barely even showed the dancing on that show too. Like, they showed them there at the studio, but they weren't really showing the dancing part, like, when you think about it. So it focused a lot more on like acting and plot, which is good. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, let's not make the whole show a whole musical thing, because I will admit, when something has a lot of music in it, you get it kind of twisted with it being good because you like the music. But I mean, was there plot? Was there acting? Was the acting good? Was the plot actually there? Like, for example, High School Musical 3. What was the plot? We liked the movie because the songs were all good, but the plot was really just them graduating, which is really not a plot. When you think about it, it's really not a plot. Like, the plot it was kind of basic. They really just had to build up everything because of the songs. Like, when you think about it, that's what it was happening here. Like, they had some things. Like, that's what was happening. Well, I will say Hannah Montana was a very good show, given that there had a lot of songs in it. But, like, they wanted to stray from it. They were like, let's focus on actual plot, right? And it's still focused on high school students. Like, it's still focused on high school students. But something that they also kind of did was have it, I don't know, did they really do this a lot back then? No. what they really did was the shows were really more about random adults being involved in a bunch of kids' businesses. Like, they just were in the kids' business way too much. They were involved in the kids' lives, like, invested into the kids' lives a bit too much for my liking. Like, Jesse. The show was about this 20-year-old or something invested into these kids' lives. Think about how often we saw the kids' actual lives. None. Unless they had to have Jessie there. Sniffing her nose in the business. Think about it. Like, it started doing that. It was still, like, centered around high school students. But, like, for some reason, it just turned off a bunch of older viewers. Like, they were like, I kind of don't want to watch that. They're like, I don't really want to watch that. I can't tell you why, but I don't want to watch that. And so, they didn't. I want to say it's probably because the musical aspect took a back seat a bit. I don't think they really cared that much about I think why, because the plot was still the life lessons that they chose was still the same as in every other show on Disney Channel. They still said the same life lessons. They just put them in different wording to make you think they were different, but it was still the same life lessons in every single show. You were learning the same things over and over again in every single show, which is fine because you should be able to, like, at least try to hear it a couple of times to really embed it into your brain. But, like, when you're older and you've heard it about 10 million times before, and now that the music part is kind of taking a backseat and you're really actually hearing it, you're like, I've seen this before. Which is fine. But it really took a shift. Disney Channel really took a shift into more of a younger audience than an older one. Like, keep in mind of that. Like, it really wasn't appealing. Like, they had me because I was just about a teenager. I was a teenager in early 2010s. I was a teenager, but, like, I watched it because, like, it was appealing to me, but I just know, like, some of, like, my other friends, they weren't really watching Disney Channel at this time because they were like, why would I? Like, it makes sense, like, when you go back and think about it. So, this next era, if you think I'm about to say the late 2010s, I'm not going to say the late 2010s. This specific era was very weird for Disney Channel. From 2012 to 2016 was a weird time. And I'm going to tell you why. This era was big. The viewer drop dropped significantly. Most of the shows were geared around a younger audience, around middle schoolers. They did have some high schoolers, but for a good part of it, most of it was centered around middle schoolers. The biggest show I can think about right now that was really big was Liv and Maddie, which was around high schoolers, but they had the little brother who was in middle school too. So they still had that middle school aspect. They had Dog with a Blog. They had I Didn't Do It. They had the Girl Meets World. They had Casey Undercover. They had Best Friends Whenever. Bunked. Stuck in the Middle, and Bizarre Bark. Most of these shows were around middle school kids. Yeah, and the ones that were around high schoolers, I want to say, actually, when you think about it, the ones that were about high schoolers did a bit better than the ones about middle schoolers. I'm not gonna say all of them. Like, I Didn't Do was based around high school, but that only had 2 seasons. Dog with a Blog, that was a bad show. I'm so sorry. Best Friends Whenever, I think they were in high school, but it only had like 2 seasons. Like, some of these shows, like, it was geared towards a younger audience. In this time, I was like an older teenager, and this is when I started dropping off. Like, some of these I was like, some of these shows to me were good, But I knew the difference. I could tell there was a changing shift in the environment over there at Disney Channel, because it was not this era is not the same as the era I was talking about earlier. Ever. Couldn't touch it. They definitely did not have a big musical aspect here in this era. It was mostly plot. Most of these shows only had 1 or 2 seasons, which is weird because they would get to a point in the show where it got right there and they could have just renewed it for another season and everyone was going to be like very intrigued into it, and they would just cancel it, and they just kept canceling shows in this era for some reason, and we didn't understand why. They still had the same recycling through the same life lessons. Again, don't lie, don't cheat, try your best, be honest, don't betray your best friend. Friends are everything, family's everything. Like, those life lessons that we already know, they were still recycling every single one of these shows, and it just wasn't entertaining anymore to the older people. Maybe the younger people. And you could just say maybe we were phasing out, which is appropriate, but acting quality went down. Do you think the acting quality in Bizarre Bark was good? Because I watched that show. It wasn't. Do you think the acting quality in Stuck in the Middle was that good? No. Some of the acting quality, most of these shows had very bad acting. Shows before had decent to good acting. This had bad acting, with a few shows, with a couple of shows having some good acting going on, some decent acting going on. Like Casey Undercover, that's decent and good acting. These shows were really funny, silly based. These shows didn't have a lot of diversity in them. Remember earlier when I said a lot of these shows had a lot of diversity? Think about all the shows I was saying after That's So Raven. Think about the cast. While Wizards of Waverly Place had good diversity because they were Hispanic, and it was also showcasing, when you really think about it, a mixed family. There weren't that many. They're starting to decline in the diversity factor. Especially in these ones. Stuck in the Middle was based around Latinos, and Casey Undercover was based around Black people. The rest, that's only 2 shows out of, like, I named at least like 6 or 7 of them. The rest of them are all white. What happened? They had a lot more diversity back then with China, with Zendaya in the earlier days, Raven, Coco. Like, they had diversity a lot. Like, I saw myself, others saw themselves on Disney Channel a lot more before this time. And I don't know what happened, but they lost the original script. Some of these shows, like I said before, just weren't good. Like Bunked. That show's not good. It's not good. It's not good. They should just cancel it. But like I said, a lot of these shows only had 1 or 2 seasons and they would just cancel it. And like, there was no time to really have the characters develop if you're only giving them 1 or 2 seasons. So we're not even getting anything. We're just getting silly little plot lines and silly little life lessons going on in every single episode for 2 seasons. And we're not really even getting any development in characters because now the show's canceled. As soon as we saw character development, that's when they dropped. That's when they dropped it. So that's what I'm saying. That time era. That's what I'm saying. That time era was very a shift and change. Like I don't even know what to say about it. Like it was just not good. It was a shift. Like some of the shows were good, but some of the shows were bad, and they were dropping in viewers around this time. They had a lot of streaming apps coming out, and more kids were interested in the streaming apps than watching Disney Channel. Even younger kids. Like my sister, she doesn't, I mean, we had cable and she wasn't even really that interested in going to watch it on the TV. She cared more about watching other stuff like on her streaming apps on Netflix and Hulu and other things like that. Like on YouTube, like they were just more interested. They're starting to become more interested in it. So this last era is from 2017 to the present day. I'm just going to name the shows that were here. Andy Mack. Justice for Andy Mack. If you want a video on Andy Mack, I will make one. I will. Justice for Andy Mack. Raven's Home. Coop and Cammy. Sydney to the Max. Fastlane. Just Roll With It. Gabby Duran. They had a lot of new cartoons. Secret of Silver Springs. Fam Jam. I don't know. I know Andy Mack and Raven's Home. I cannot tell you anything else much about the other shows other than what I've seen from what my sister has watched. So like I've seen the scenes from Coop and Cammy. I've seen scenes from Sydney to the Max. I've seen scenes from Just Roll With It. I've seen scenes from Gabby Duran. Like I've seen scenes from Fam Jam. And I can tell you right now, Disney Channel's lost the script. Those shows are not that good. Even Raven's Home, it's decent. It's decent. They're about to flip the script with Raven's Home. I just heard they got renewed for a 5th season. And they're dropping most of the characters and they're only keeping Raven and the son. Not the daughter, like as if they're not twins. They're just dropping all the characters except Raven and the son. Okay, that's weird. They're about to lose it with this one. They're about to lose it with this one. Okay. Diversity is still bad. Most of these shows are centered around middle schoolers, so way younger. Remember earlier when I was like, the ones I watched, they were mostly centered around high schoolers, and I was like in elementary school, and I was intrigued. Now they're centered around middle schoolers. You're not going to capture an older audience by having your shows centered around middle schoolers, because I don't care about middle schoolers. Well, let me not even say me. Someone, and an older teenager does not care about middle schoolers if they're in high school. They don't care anymore. And if you're not capturing the middle schoolers, you're capturing elementary schoolers. And by the time they get to middle school, I mean, it's not that long until they get to, like, you're not going to have them for that long. Disney Channel had me from when I was in elementary all the way up until I was in high school. They're not getting the kids like that anymore. They're not snatching them by their weave like that anymore. They're just saying elementary school drop. Middle school, you can kind of stick around, drop. Like, they're not having any older kids, like, centered around older kids in high school anymore. Like, it's weird. It's weird. They have a lot of new cartoons after not really having a lot of cartoons, because I want to say they put a lot of their cartoons on Disney XD, but no one was watching Disney XD. What else can I say? Like, this one kind of makes me upset. Some of these shows just get canceled. They're canceled now. Like Andy Mack got canceled. Justice for Andy Mack. That show shouldn't have been canceled. I just don't know what the audience that they're looking for is. It's kind of confusing. It's confusing. Like I said, I am using my sister as an example. She watches a lot of these shows on Disney Plus. She's not watching them as they air on air anymore. But even that, like, she cares more about watching other shows on other streaming apps, or she'll watch YouTube Kids more. She's not interested into the whole Disney thing. Disney's not capturing the young audience like they're used to. I understand why they're shutting down a lot of Disney channels, because they want to focus more on Disney Plus. Maybe this is why they just have to let the quality go down until they can make it rise back up again for like Disney Plus shows. But I don't know if that's gonna work, because as soon as you really just lose an audience and try to get them back, I don't think that's gonna work out for them. Something else that's really bad is just having a lot of inconsistency. Remember when I was a kid, they had Friday night showings, Sunday night showings. They had Follow Lala Days. They had Monstober. They had you snatched where you were excited. They don't have that these days. They're inconsistent. Like, I've seen them change air dates for Raven's Home from Friday to Monday in the middle of the season, and then still have like 2-3 week hiatus, and then come back, and then have a 2-month hiatus, and then come back for a few episodes, and all of a sudden the season's ended and you didn't even know it was the finale. And it's very confusing. I've seen it. It's very confusing. They are inconsistent. And don't say it's because of COVID. They were doing this before COVID. They were being inconsistent before COVID. COVID made everything worse for a second. But I feel like they're being a bit more consistent. They became a bit more consistent after COVID, though. But they're still not really consistent. They don't have any of those fun things anymore, like the Pass the Plates and the TMIs and showcasing Monstober and Follow Along. They're not doing that anymore. They're not cranking out DComs. Actually, they're starting to again now, but they're not really cranking out DComs as much. Like, DComs made you excited because they would air the DCom and then air a show right after, like a premiere of the show right after the DCom, so they can pick up all those viewers. Like, it used to be so fun back then, and they just don't do it now. I think the kids deserve better. The kids deserve what I had. They deserve all that fun that I have. They're not cranking out musical artists like they used to anymore. Like, we had like 10 million Disney Channel artists signed on the record label, and we saw all their music videos all the time, and they just don't have that anymore. And it's kind of sad. So, just to end, once again, they are shutting down Disney channels in a lot of countries. Again, I think it's because of Disney Plus. But I think Disney channels they're obviously on a decline. I live in America, so I don't think Disney Channel's gonna shut down anytime soon here. Because I think Disney's a really big, their really big hotspot is here in America. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but okay. I'm just gonna say it right now. I just don't think it's gonna shut down here in America right now, or anytime soon. But, like, Disney XD, that's kind of dead. Disney Junior, from what I've seen from my sister, they're not pumping out new shows for kids that young either anymore. So that's kind of dead. And I just don't know what's going on over there at Disney Channel. But maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they know what they're doing, and they're just letting us sit here and talk crap about them and how they're dying, and they just know what they're doing. But as far as I know, it maybe they don't know what they're doing. I think they're straying. They realize that they can't get the kids. They can't get us anymore. We're way too interested in other things now, besides a silly Disney Channel show, because they have nothing original. If they still have the same life lesson plot, the same silly jokes, that yeah. I want better for the kids. The kids have terrible quality. The kids have terrible quality TV shows, and I had good quality TV shows. And I want the kids to have what I have. So in the whole old Disney, new Disney debate, old Disney is better because it actually had substance to it. As where this new Disney doesn't have any substance. The foundation is cracked. It's falling. So that's what I'm gonna say. So let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. You can watch my last video, which was about underrated artists. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I did not say any of this in my last video, so I have to say it now. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the content that you're seeing, please subscribe. More content is coming. Leave a comment down below of what you want to see me do next. I do talk about a lot of TV shows, a lot of music. I don't talk about music that much, but I'm trying to. Any other ideas you have for me, suggestions on videos that you want me to do, leave them down below in the comment section. And that's kind of all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day.